Hi pals, here is what in our week 2 of our winter spring produce delivery box is, the contents. This is what's in the box. So this is my brother's box, so I can manhandle it all I want. So we also have potatoes in the box. I think these are apple rose fins, I'm not sure. They are one of our favorite potatoes of all times. I think they're amazing roasted. They also hold up really well in a soup. So like if you're gonna make a really hearty soup, cut them up. So good. I've been putting them in curries. We've been eating the same curry for 5 days and the potatoes are still delicious and good. You can also roast them, you can mash them. They're pretty pink inside, I think. Some of them are, some of them aren't, if I can remember correctly. So you can end up with kind of like a funky looking mashed potato if you're here for that. But yeah, roasted super good as like a fry, olive oil, salt, pepper, garlic. Really good. Parsnips. Okay, so this is the best batch of parsnips we've ever grown. We recently roasted them. So Chris cut them up in like quarters and we roasted them. They were really good. I found they're really like creamy, carby. I preferred like the end piece roasted, more like a fry. That was really good. And then the top parts, maybe I would cut up smaller next time. But I really like the idea of them roasted like as a fry. Or I've seen a lot of people mash them or like put them in like a pot roast, like where you put like your potatoes and carrots and stuff. And then they're kind of like creamy like a potato. They're very good. We're still getting used to them because, again, this is the best batch we've ever had. And they kind of look like monsters, which is fun. Okay, carrots. So I think most people are pretty familiar with what to do with carrots. Our carrots are really good. You can eat them raw. You cut them up. You could leave them in the fridge for yourself all week to just eat as carrots. And then otherwise, I really like them in soups. That's one of my favorite places. And that's probably one of the most popular places that we use carrots. I also really like them in a curry. That's one of my favorite ways. I like them roasted and then put in like a soup or something. So good. Otherwise, you can grate them up and put them in like a salad. I like them in a coleslaw. There's a cabbage in here too. If you wanted to do coleslaw, you could do that. So those are some ideas for what to do with your carrots. Bell peppers, another great one that you can eat raw if you cut them up. I like raw bell peppers. That might be me though, actually. Other people, normal people might not be into that. Great sauteed with like onions if you're gonna do. You could put them in a pasta, you could put them in an omelet. You could probably roast them in the oven, like like stuffed peppers. Do something like that too. So this is a gold nugget squash. They're absolutely delicious. I highly recommend roasting them. You can cut them up into like cubes to roast after you've removed the seeds, or you can just cut them in half and then like scoop it out with seeds. If you're doing that, I would cook them face down and score them with a knife so they have some like a way to release steam, and put olive oil on the pan. And then roast them up, and then you can put them, I mean, you can eat them just like as a side dish. You can scoop them up and put them in soups. 'Tis the season for soups, I feel like. I really like them if you roast it up. You can then like take the immersion blender and mix in some cream, heat it up, and maybe some cheese as like a pasta sauce. That's one of my favorite things to do with squash, personally. Yeah, squash is delicious. Cauliflower. This is an impressive cauliflower for us. I like roasted cauliflower personally, so you could roast it with some other veg. Cut it up small, or you can use you can even use the core part if you cut it up small enough. Some of them you might want to peel off the leaves to make it better, easier to eat, less like fibrous on the outside, but inside it's super soft and delicious. Roast it, steam it, mash it, you stick it in a stew, I guess. Eat it raw, like if you cut it up. Make some sort of like dressing. You can make a dressing from a zucchini if you want, like a roasted zucchini, if you have any of those left over. Then we've got a pie pumpkin. I think this is the cinnamon girl, I'm pretty sure. So sweet. highly recommend roasting it. Cut it in half, take out the seeds, a little olive oil on a pan. Like I usually just do everything at by like 400 and then see, probably 20 minutes, and I would pierce the skin so that the steam can escape. And then from there you have roasted pumpkin. You can use that in like a pie if you wanted to make a pie. It is a pie pumpkin. So you can make a pie from it and use I don't know if this would be enough puree to make a full pie, but you can make some sort of dessert tart with it. You can also just eat it, maybe some butter and cinnamon on it, or again, like the same kind of principle as like the roasted squash. I like it in some sort of stew. They're so creamy and smooth, and I feel like they add such a richness to any sort of sauce. Celery. I am so excited for this celery. We've been watching it grow all summer, and now it's here. I love a leafy celery. I think that's where the flavor is for me. I don't so much love the stalk as much. I think if you cut it up small enough, it's okay. But with Thanksgiving, this would be great in a stuffing. It would be great in a soup if you've got if you're gonna make turkey broth. So good in that. And you can add the carrots and parsnips too if you wanted. I would use the entire leaf to chop it up, and you can use it like as parsley too. So much flavor is in there. Don't get rid of it. So that's like our leafy celery. Perfect for the holidays. And a giant cabbage head. So this is a red cabbage. I know it should be called purple. Nobody asked me. I think this is express or red cabbage. I already messed that up. For these, there's so much you can do with cabbage. One of the great things I like to make is like a cabbage steak. So you cut it like inch slabs and roast it in the oven. Again, roasting, I say just roast all of it because 'tis the season. Olive oil, salt and pepper, garlic, onion pepper, whatever, or onion powder, whatever sort of spices you like, and then roast it. I would check on it, and they stay pretty steak-like. So good. Roasted cabbage. Or you can just chop it up and roast it. That works too. You can add it to a soup. You can make a coleslaw out of it. So great for a salad. Or you can make sauerkraut. There's some excellent sauerkraut recipes out there. I'll link some below. There's some places that are safer than others. You've got to be safe when you're making sauerkraut because it is a fermented food and you don't want to die. I love cabbage for breakfast. Honestly, I used to eat cabbage every day for breakfast. I would roast it and I would eat like a quarter of one because I really like cabbage. So that's what I think you should do with your cabbage. And then we have Swiss chard. I did a video on things you can do with greens. If you're ever overwhelmed by greens, I highly recommend prepping them in advance. So if you have some sort of like container in your fridge of just chopped up greens that you can just add to meals throughout the week, a bundle of greens is going to be far less intimidating. The idea of eating just like greens can feel like a lot to people. So I'd highly recommend prepping this in advance. This is Swiss chard. You can eat the whole thing. I would highly recommend eating the stalks too. So good. I like them personally as like if you're having like a crunchy celery substitute. I like the flavor of celery. I just don't like celery chunks. I'm weird. Chop them up in a soup. So good with a couple of like if you saute them and then have the soup cook around it. So good. The leaves are also really good. You can eat them raw like salady, but I would take out the stalk. I mean, at least to like here. This is a bit much to eat raw, and it takes longer to cook. So if you're just going to cook up the greens, I would just chop them up like a chiffon or rough chop, and then if they're in the fridge, you can just pull them out and put them in any sort of soup or stir fry, or you can add them on top of any roasted vegetables that you're cooking. Just put them on top, maybe put a little bit more olive oil on top, salt and pepper, and let them broil or cook for at least a couple of minutes till they wilt up. So good. Also great in a pan. Like if you're just sauteing stuff in a pan, throw in a handful right near the end and you're all good to go. Don't be overwhelmed by greens. They're so good for you. They're amazing. And you don't just have to eat the whole bunch of greens if you don't want to, okay? So take it little bit by little bit is what I would recommend. Okay, that was a mildly awkward video. I hope you enjoyed what is in this box for our produce customers this week. We can't wait to get it to you, and I hope it makes it to your Thanksgiving table. Anyway, have a great day.